Jillian. You've got your coworkers in the background, right?
Yeah, I'm here, girls. So we're gonna attempt to all share a computer here.
Fair enough. Good to see you all. We're looking forward to this. So you guys see again, I like to remind people what the theme is and all that fun stuff. And so kind of this part of the day, really we're going to focus on the peer-centered component and people, other coalitions showing the work that they're doing to hopefully maybe give some ideas or concepts that you may want to or think about implementing. And so with that being said, I think Jennifer Nguyen is driving this, so I will be quiet and let Jillian take over.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for having us. I'm super excited to share a little bit with y'all today about our youth coalition. I didn't feel like I would be doing our youth coalition a great service if they weren't part of this presentation, because they do a much better job at sharing what they do and what they're passionate about than I can. So who I have with me today, you see some pictures of them in action on your screen. I have Emma Carpenter, Claire Clark, Chloe Clark, and McKenna Marr. And so they'll each be sharing with you a little bit throughout the presentation about different things that they're working on. Next slide, please. All right, so what we're going to talk about today, we're going to start with getting started. If you don't have a coalition, you're interested in creating one, what does that look like? Then we'll go through keeping youth engaged. How do I keep these kiddos showing up here all the time? And then we'll talk about evaluation, and then just a little bit at the end about any ways that COVID-19 has sort of impacted our work as a youth coalition. Next slide. Okay, so the one thing that I want y'all to take away from this more than anything else is not to reinvent the wheel. Such a huge part of what we do is partnering with other organizations in the community. So there are tons of other things that these girls are involved in that align beautifully with the work that we do. And so what I want you to hear from this whole presentation is you don't have to spend all of your time creating new programs, creating new opportunities. They're out there, and it can really strengthen both your youth coalition and your adult coalition just by collaborating. So you'll hear a lot about that as we go through this. Next slide. Okay, Chloe is gonna talk first.
Okay. Okay, so in this slide, we're going to be talking about how to find youth for the coalition, and we're going to be talking about thinking outside the traditional coalition member box and marketing your program so the youth actually want to come. Next slide. Okay, so how do we actually recruit the youth for our coalition? One way is word of mouth. We use students, teachers, and coaches all over our area to help spread the word about the work we do to their students. Guidance counselors also spread the word at every city and county, middle and high school. They recommend 3 students to us every year. Also, service and achievement organizations, their goals often align with ours, and we often partner with them and end up with extra coalition members in the process as well. To share an example, as part of my beta club this year, we were tasked with creating a hunger reduction program for a school, and we partnered with the coalition members to help tackle this project with the knowledge, and we celebrated our success alongside us as we won a national award for our work. And we also have a flyer that we just hand out at our events. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay, we also really like to target our non-traditional coalition members. We feel like by having different many perspectives and life situations represented, we feel like our coalition is stronger and better equipped. We also love having homeschoolers in our group. As a homeschooler myself, I'm grateful for the interaction and the experience that the coalition gives me. Also, kids who need community service for school, church, and juvenile court also are great additions to our group as well. Many times they help out at an event and then just stay around as normal coalition members. This year, we also had a pageant queen who showed up to volunteer and then changed her platform to spreading the word about the impact of ACEs and trauma. Next slide. On this slide, you'll see a couple of our coalition members who have come to us from juvenile court. Gabe came to us for a class to help him stop vaping and ended up being interviewed about his work with Narcan by the National News Network of France. Yordi has been mentored by Jillian for about a year, and he was featured in the New York Times article talking about joining the Youth Coalition. The article said, Yordi Mendez, 16, grew up surrounded by drug use at 13. He said he tried cocaine that his father left in a bathroom and he's seen 2 friends die from overdoses. He was caught vaping at school and is among nearly 100 students who since June have received Narcan training because of court-ordered vaping classes taught by the Carter County Drug Prevention Coalition, the same group as Street Sleep. Learning how to administer Narcan, Yordi said, inspired him to join the Youth Coalition's Youth Board, whose 35 members range from 4th grade through high school.
So we're now going to talk about advertising. And as a kid who has been involved in athletics all my life, it's important that what I'm involved in is fun and engaging. And teenagers know when someone is faking it about being excited to get them to go to a coalition, or if they actually want to have you be a part of this. And so it's important that we work really hard to make sure that things we do have an impact and provide value to their already really busy lives. So we're not going to 2 flyers, and the first was written by a group in our area. Go forward. Yeah. Our first one was written by a group in our area, but we changed them to ours. Can I please have Xavier read it?
Join Carter County Drug Prevention Youth Coalition to learn more about tobacco, alcohol, and drugs. Free healthy snacks and information packets will be provided about problems in Carter County. Events held at our office at 3:30 p.m. Parents are welcome to register. Please visit our website or stop by the office for a registration form between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m.
Thank you so much. So our seniors took this and redid it. Can I have Miss Jennifer read the next one, please?
Absolutely. Hey girl, your voice matters. People respect you. Carter County Drug Prevention wants you to help us make our town a place you are proud to live in. Wrap up your homework, tuck your parents in bed, and join us at the coffee company at 9 p.m. for coffee, yoga, and teach us more about the challenges youth in Carter County face. Text Kenna with questions anytime at 423-555-5555.
Thank you very much. So you might be wondering what changed between those. So our image is way more attractive. The wording sounds a lot more of how teens would communicate. And it makes us feel like they understand who we are. We're not asking for help. We're asking for help, and we're figuring out what is wrong and not telling you what's wrong. And at the time, at 3:30, that's when kids just got out of school and they're working on their after-school activities or homework. And at 2:30, kids are probably in school working. So we changed that to kind of work with their time schedule a lot better. And locations changed. So going to a coffee shop or just going somewhere and hanging out and really engaging in students at a place that feels comfortable and fun is a lot more fun and exciting for us. If you want to be a priority, if you want to be a part, we have to be a priority and not an afterthought. Next slide, please. These are some of the strategies we use to help put Carter County Drug Prevention's implementations plans throughout the last several years. Make youth part of your plan up front. Don't make a box and put us into it. Next slide, please. To wrap up, remember, you have to meet us where we are. If where we are is on the football field at Friday night, throw on your Cyclones jersey and meet us down there. Slide, please.
So we're now going to be talking about keeping youth engaged. It is so important. Oh, can I have the next slide? Thank you. It is so important to determine your coalition goals, make a plan to achieve them, and make sure every opportunity connects back to those things so that the youth know what they've learned, where they are, and what they're working towards. Can I have the next slide? There are lots of options already out there for youth engagement. Sit down with your core group of youth, look at these, and decide what their priorities are. Can I have the next slide? Can I have the next slide? Our model looks like this. Phase 1 of our coalition is the gaining knowledge and growing confidence phase, which we usually begin with 4th graders and continue through 6th grade.
Will you go back one slide? Sorry. Jennifer, will you go back one slide to the model?
I'm trying, but it's delayed.
Okay. If you'll show the model real fast, then we'll.
Give me one moment.
You're good.
And I think there's so many pictures in these things that our computers aren't handling it well. There you go. You got it, Jennifer.
What? We go one more. Sorry.
Uh-oh.
Okay, one moment.
That one right there.
Are there a lot of animations?
What? Okay.
There's so many pictures it won't load.
Okay. We'll just keep moving. All right.
Okay. So start here.
Go ahead and so she's gonna talk about our model, even though you don't have a visual of it. Just pretend like you have a visual of our model, and then we'll go on to gain knowledge next.
Okay, so what I was saying is that 7th through 12th graders, we focus heavily on serving and connecting to our community, as well as using those opportunities for connection to also share our knowledge. Our last phase is for our oldest high schoolers and our college coalition members. They're trained to teach classes like Safe Sitter, do Narcan and ACEs training, and mentor the younger students using the skills they've learned. So what does gaining knowledge look like in our coalition? This is a place where the key takeaway message is really important. You can never collaborate with too many organizations, and there's no need to reinvent the wheel when there are already amazing resources out there to use. Beta, SAD Clubs, 4-H, American Lung Association, Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, and so many more have cheap, easily accessible trainings for you to use. The list on your screen is the initial one we provide to new members in their membership packet. Youth are encouraged to complete these trainings through a point system. Points are earned for things like attending meetings, doing media interviews, and trainings. We have 2 celebrations each year, summer and Christmas, which only the students with a certain number of points are eligible to attend.
I am not sure, but just keep.
One moment.
Okay.
My computer's freezing.
You can.
The joys of virtual training. I will say you guys are doing an awesome job, by the way. I think she's trying to maybe reformat it potentially.
I am.
So, yeah, let's just give it like 1 minute, and then maybe it'll be a little bit more smooth. But apologies, you guys. Let's see if this works better.
Next slide.
There you go. I'm going to share just a little bit about my personal experience with gaining knowledge through coalition work. For me, SAD has been a big part of my advocacy education. They taught me how to collaborate with others, how to be a better youth leader, and bettering our community through service projects that all it takes is one willing person to create change, to make an impact. Next slide, please. Additionally, I can't say enough about the valuable education I've received through TN Strong and TTI conventions. TTI really jump-started my education on mental health and slavery in America. Both TTI and TN Strong had amazing speakers. A youth group, Over Youth, taught me the hidden dangers of tobacco and how to reach out to government officials. Kate Gardens taught me the importance of being my own person, to be a gladiator. Next slide, please. Lastly, I wanted to share about our mental health lending library. Some of our coalition members felt like there was a stigma attached to checking out books on certain topics from our public library. We worked with them to create a free library in our office where students can access books at any time. This library has been helpful for both our coalition members and our community to access information on new topics. Next slide, please.
Another freeze.
You can start talking and she'll.
Okay. Next, about growing confidence. Our priority is to help students discover their strengths and how they can best use those to create change. We start this by asking them questions about their strengths on their new member packet, and often use our annual celebrations and or other events to discover more about their own personalities, areas of growth.
Hold on 2 seconds. Will you go back one slide, Jennifer?
That's the slide that froze the screen. So it's
Okay.
all-
Should I just continue? Yep.
We also really try to encourage each other by praising the work we put in instead of the outcome. Recently, we petitioned our county commission to adopt a playground ban on nicotine products. They felt like it was a government overreach and turned us down. In the wake of that commission meeting, social media went a little wild and shamed many of the commissioners for this decision. Though it was not the outcome we desired, we were overjoyed that the community was having a conversation about where they stood on this issue. And in the end, following the public outcry, our city parks and rec board voted to eliminate all tobacco products from parks. So we still won. Okay, next slide, please. Just stay there, sorry. Next, we will talk about the importance of inclusion. This slide shows a few of the ways we make sure our group is inclusive. If you want youth to participate, you have to make sure you're facilitating an environment that feels safe for all. One of the things that we generally do at meetings and events is request the use of oops or ouch. If a student feels triggered by something or uncomfortable with language, they can say one of these words and our group will then discuss what happened and how to make sure everyone is comfortable in the future. Next slide, please. Community service is a huge part of what our coalition does. By diving into the community and engaging people, we are able to better understand needs and how we can meet them. As you see on your screen, there are also many studies that show the benefit of involving youth in service and how great the need for service opportunities available for teens are. Next slide, please. Many other organizations engage students in community service in our community. So by partnering with them, we increase our resources and the potential for new coalition members and community partners. Next slide, please. This past year, our coalition partnered with Beta for trash pickups, grocery bagging, classes for seniors, a celebration of the life of Martin Luther King Jr., among others. Next slide.
This is that slide.
Oh,
this is slide.
Okay.
So it's just
Spreading knowledge is where we spend the most of our coalition time. Community events, protests, annual tobacco holidays, and more allow us the opportunity to share our knowledge around tobacco, alcohol, prescription drugs, and mental health with our peers and their families. Next slide. One of my favorite ways to spread knowledge is by engaging elected officials. We've been able to share our knowledge with them about many evidence-based practices that we think are important for our community to be invested in. Thank you.
a little movement here. There we go. So, is this a slide?
One of our highlights this year was being interviewed by the New York Times about our Narcan youth training. We had no idea how much we would be asked to share our knowledge following the story's publication, but we were able to do interviews across the world and address misinformation surrounding Narcan.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay, next slide. I'm borrowing your notes. Okay. They're more prepared than I am, y'all, all the time. So in our last phase, you guys didn't really get to see our model, but we have kind of a 3-phase model that we move students throughout the coalition. And so this is kind of our last phase. So none of the girls that I have with me today are quite here yet. And so I'm going to share a little bit about this with you all. So our very last phase is the mentoring and evaluating phase. And so this is when my kiddos are actually teaching and mentoring. We have some right now who are teaching safe sitter classes. They're the ones that teach the Narcan classes that we talked about in New York Times, partner with our amazing ropes and go out into the community and do those things. They are able to teach ACEs training to their peers, lots of different things there. We actually have an 18-year-old coalition member who's also trained to teach in-depth classes now. So this is where they take that knowledge and really, really put it into practice and start educating other people in the community in a mentor capacity. Next slide for me. Oh, wait. Next, let's go one more. We are definitely missing some slides. Just leave it right there and we'll just keep talking. So evaluation of our youth coalition is something that we've been working on for quite a while. When we received the DFC grant last year, we were able to really kind of boost our efforts to evaluate the youth coalition. We've been really looking at these 3 phases and not only how they're impacting the community, but how the youth that are actually doing this work are also impacted. So what does it look like if you've been in this work, doing this work since 4th grade, and then you go to college? Like, is it impacting your choices? We feel like it is, but we haven't really been able to collect the data in a way to capture that. And so with DFC this year, we're really working hard with doing that. We've got some folks from ETSU that are really looking at these kiddos and what they're learning and what their life looks like. So we're excited to hopefully in the next year or so have that information to share with you all. I will say that we have a new member packet that was created by one of our 3rd level coalition members. And so that's really helping us with our evaluation piece too, because they kind of come in, they get this list of trainings, they get really on paper idea of what this coalition is and what it looks like. And then we evaluate them throughout their time with us by using a point system. So our coalition president 3 years ago, maybe, came up with a point system. So every event they attend, every media interaction they have, every community event they're doing, they get points, which kind of add up for them to be able to go to our special events with at Christmas and our planning retreat in the summer. So this is also another way that we're kind of looking at evaluating them and exactly what their participation level is. Yeah, so I'll turn it back to you, Claire.
Okay, so we will quickly share just a few ways our coalition has had to adapt because of COVID. We've continued to engage with one another, adapt our programs, and make sure we are checking in with and taking care of each other. That has sometimes looked like Miss Jillian's kids or friendly cats checking into our Zoom or recording a takedown tobacco video in Jillian's living room.
But we've gotten to do some really cool things too. Next slide, please. Yes. So we've gotten to do some really cool things too. I was able to facilitate a conversation about racism in our community. We had about 80 people in attendance, and we got to do it in a way that we probably wouldn't have been able to do it if we were in person. So it was really cool. Next slide, please. So our regular summer camp was planned, but it was unable to be held this year. So we created Camp in a Bag instead. We focused on fun topics like Week at the Beach for relaxation, some stress management and mental health marathons, and more. We had around 50 kids in attendance every week from June through last Monday. They would just pick up the bags, and it would contain a fun little activity for them to do each week. For example, we had an emotional volcano art class. Students picked up supplies with their bags and used them along with the Zoom class. Next slide, please. So lastly, we have been sure to check in with each other and make sure that we practice what we preach. So this is a weird time for mental health, and we are trying to take care of each other by offering classes and activities to support one another. Two of our favorites have been learning the emotional freedom technique and participating in a virtual escape room.
Next slide. So in conclusion, we really hope that this has been helpful for you all. Take these ideas and run with them and make them work in your community. As you can tell, this is the thing that I am probably the most passionate about, is working with these teenagers. They continue to come up with things that I never would have thought of. They push me to be creative and innovative and do things. Ken is all the time like, but can we go protest? I'm like, okay, we're going to do that. And so I just can't say enough about them and about the work that they do. And so we're always happy to connect, to help anybody that wants to do something similar, or if we can provide support to you in any way. Emma is our youth coalition president this year, and McKenna is our vice president. And then Chloe and Claire are our co-secretaries this year. So this is really our leadership team that kind of takes initiative to direct the youth and where they want to go. So we're here to help. We're happy to share or to do anything we can to get youth coalitions going across the state. So thanks for having us.
At this point, we'd like for anyone, if you have any questions for Jillian in the Carter County Drug Prevention Youth Coalition, to go ahead and type those questions in the chat box, and we'll let Jillian and her kids answer a few of those questions. So maybe take the next 2 to 3 minutes, and I will start a timer now.
Well, I will say there is one question in there, and you guys can hear me, I hope. My muting was just acting weird a second ago, where I think Gabby, and I'm not sure, Gabby, I'm sorry, I'm not sure who you're with. She asked, can you let us know which books do you have in your mental health lending library? So what books do you all have there?
They're going to grab some to show you real quick. So we have really, they sat down for a million hours and looked at an Amazon list and picked the things that they thought would be helpful. And then we also pulled from, in a couple, I guess 3 different classes that we do at juvenile court, we actually asked them for hot topics, like what do you wish you knew about or whatever. So we have everything from LGBTQ stuff for youth. Let's see, M grabbed, this is an ADHD book. This one we love. This is probably the one that has been accessed the most in our community, is this one on LGBTQ for youth particularly. So in our community, there's a little bit of a stigma around maybe putting your name with that book and checking it out of the library. And so we've had a lot of folks that have wanted this book in particular, or books similar. Eating disorder books. What is this one? ADD. We also have some things. These are really cool. They are survival guides, kid survival guides. And so this one is autism. We've had some kiddos with younger siblings struggling with autism, and so they felt like those would be helpful to them. We actually have a window display right now in the front of our office that says it's okay not to be okay, and featuring a lot of these books, a lot of our more popular ones, I guess. And so we also do a lot of books about families. So maybe mom or dad or caregiver is struggling with something. And so a lot of things like that, like what can I do? What does this look like? Is this normal? We really love Kevin Hines. This is one of their favorites. So we have all of anything we can find with Kevin and Margaret Hines. We have a lot of their stuff talking about suicide prevention. So it's really just kind of a mix of lots of different things. We have, I can share the book list if anybody wants me to do that, or I can send it to you, Jennifer, or somebody, and y'all can share it out with our presentation. We actually use this also as in-kind matching for DFC. So we went to our library and told them, like, hey, people are scared of checking out books because there's stigma. And this idea actually came because we had a student who went and checked out an LGBTQ specific book. The librarian knew his mama, and the librarian said to his mama, hey, I saw that Jimmy checked out this book this week. What's going on with y'all? And so that was, as you can imagine, a pretty tricky situation for that kiddo. And so there's no library HIPAA. I mean, there's not, it's not something that we can say, librarians, please don't do this. And so, but their director was clearly like, oh my gosh, we can't be doing that. And so they were very on board with saying, maybe let's put some of those books in your office, and that way people can access them without that stigma. So they donate I guess last year they gave us about $2,500 worth of books,
Oh, wow.
just to give out to the community. So that's been huge for us to have that matching and have that support from the library. So I'm happy to share the list with everybody, and however we can help.
Great. No, yeah, that makes sense. If you share the list with us, we'll include that kind of in the packet. We'll have like a debrief deal with as many stuff or as many stuff, geez, as many things as we can include. And one comment as you talk about the the books and whatnot. I know Jesse asked if you could get a copy of the presentation. I would tell you all, just some behind the scenes things. We it's kind of big, so we may have to figure out a way to package it and send it. Because I know they've got all these great pictures of like activities and whatnot, and something that my team and I were struggling with as Jillian, your team and everyone was doing such a great job of presenting was how can we save it and make it to where it's more um, computer friendly. So I was having all those pictures is good though. That's perfect. And so we'll try to figure out how to do that. And Jillian, we might want to work with you guys to figure out how maybe to cut it down, not remove content, but maybe remove some pieces that allow it to be more shareable. Because that's Jesse, you're right. Is how can we share this to get it to you all? Let's see. I don't think I see any other questions. Um, what I will say is I don't know. I feel like we just need to have you guys do all of our presentations. Just I don't think we've gotten this many good jobs or congratulations or amazing jobs before ever. I don't get it. I know that much, but there's obvious reasons why I don't, because I'm the worst presenter out of the whole group. You guys are awesome. Good deal. Well, thanks you